Yeah, I'll call the meeting to order. Rachel, will you please call the roll?
Sure, I will. Rachel Anger is here. Kathy Calhoun. Here. John Kalila.
Here.
Kenny Curley.
Here.
Pam Delabar.
Here.
Kathy Dunham.
Here.
George Eigenhauser.
Present.
Mark Hannon.
Here.
Yukiko Hayata. Hayata not on yet. Carol Krasnowski.
Here.
Rich Maston.
Here.
Steve McCullough. Don't believe he's going to join us. What's that? Okay. Melanie Morgan.
Here.
Pam Moser.
Here.
Daryl Newkirk.
Here.
Sharon Roy.
Here.
Howard Webster.
Here.
Annette Wilson.
Here.
And from central office, we have our executive director, Eileen Tartaglia.
Here.
Is Shelley Perkins on the call, CFA attorney?
Here.
Thank you. Do we have Matthew Wong?
Here.
Is Gavin Cow on the call?
No.
Is Eva Chen on the call?
And Shelley Borowski is here.
Thank you. And I'll circle back to Yukiko Hayata. She is not on the call at this time. Is there anyone on the panel as a panelist who's on the call, whose name I have not called? Okay, I'll turn it back to you, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rachel. So we have a quorum. Let's approve the orders of the day. There we go. So we do have 3 tabled items from yesterday, and we need to plug those in under, I guess, unfinished business. Rachel, is that where you had planned to put those 3 items to?
That is correct. That would be the correct place to put them.
Okay. All right. Does anybody need a refresher on what those are? No. Okay, good. Okay. Any additions or corrections to the agenda? Okay, any objection to accepting this as our orders of business? Okay, hearing no objection by unanimous consent, this is our order of business. So we'll start with 21, Annette Wilson, Breeds and Standards, you're up.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. On File Vista, the report that's number 21-Breeds and Standards.docx is the one that has the entire report, including the breed proposals, the status reports, and everything in it. And then there's another smaller Excel file that is a summary of the proposals with the votes for each that you can read across. And I'm going to kind of go along with that as well as the basic report. So I'm going to start by thanking the members of my committee. Everybody worked really hard on this. I want to call out particularly Carla Bazell and Melanie Morgan, who helped review the proposals. I want to thank central office, who does a ton of work on this. They prepared all of the ballots, they reviewed them, did a double check on proofing them, got them set up for electronic voting, and we're very good to work with. So Eileen, if you could pass that on to everybody who worked on this, I'd appreciate it. And James Simrow for stepping up and providing registration and exhibit data when requested to support some of these proposals. The Breed Council secretaries that had proposals this year were very good to work with, very responsive, very understanding of what's required. And I want to compliment all of them because every one of their proposals passed the Breed Councils. I don't know if that's a record or not, or just it just happened this year. But you know, to me, that shows that they're communicating well with their Breed Council members. I also wanted to mention Krista Schmidt on our committee updates the input from the judges' reports on advancing breeds every month. James Simrow sends her a report at the end of every month indicating what cats were actually exhibited and present in each ring, and then she gets the judges' reports and inputs the data from those. And we, in central office, was able to make an online judges' report form for advancing breeds. That's been very helpful. So we've, I think, accomplished quite a bit this year. And again, it's really all about the breed council secretaries. So I'm going to scroll up on my other computer here, and I would like to have a standing motion for each of the past proposals, with reserving the opportunity to vote no.
Rachel will make a standing second.
Thank you.
Annette, I have a
Yes.
question.
Yes.
Carol Johnson's our genetics advisory committee chair. Is there a
Yes.
reason she is not part of your committee?
I actually thought she was the chair for central office, so I apologize if I misunderstood that, but I certainly have asked her questions when.
Okay, well, I didn't, I'm just trying to clarify if she's part of your committee, or do you just use her on a consultant's basis?
Yeah, we haven't really had to consult on too many things.
Okay.
So that's been nice, but yes, I rely on her. I rely on other people when there's a question. There just haven't been too many questions, but I'd be happy to add her to the committee. That's not an issue.
Okay.
I think maybe the reason there aren't a lot of questions is because if central office is using her as a resource, then they don't need to come to me.
Okay, all right. Hang on a minute. Pam Delabar, you're recognized.
Annette, I just wanted to thank you for putting this Excel format together. It really helps. And so thank you for doing that extra bit of work.
Well, you're welcome. I actually did that two years ago too. It helps me as when the report comes in. Of course, 2 years ago when I did this, I couldn't figure out how to do a percentage and make it right. But anyway, it was helpful to all of us, I think. And then I'm able, because it's short, copy and paste the results to each individual breed council secretary. So Daryl, I'm not sure how you want me to run this. Do you want to start out each one, or?
No, it's up to you. You go ahead and let's
Okay.
let's start with the first breed and go to the action items, and then we'll query the board if there are any questions. If there are no questions, then we'll call for the vote.
Okay, thank you. Now Carol Johnson is on the call, and could she be made a panelist so she could
Yes.
answer questions? I think she wanted to make a brief statement also.
Okay.
Is
she
Carol, she is on, she's on mute.
There she goes. Can you hear us, Carol?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Okay, good morning, Carol. Did you want to be available for questions, or did you have a statement you wanted to make to the board?
I'd like to make a statement when we get to the poll. I don't need to make a statement right now.
Okay, so we'll go to proposal number 1, which is adding the color descriptions for and white colors that are missing. These are colors already accepted, already shown, but not described in the standard. Any questions? Oh, and it passed by 60%.
Okay, Melanie.
I'm always in favor of providing more detail in our color descriptions, and I want to just say kudos to the Breed Council, Carol, your Breed Council, and Annette for putting this together. I wholeheartedly support this.
Any other comments? Okay, any objections to proposal number 1 and the American Shorthair Standard? All right, hearing no objections by unanimous consent is adopted.
Okay, proposal number 2 adds color descriptions where they're missing to color classes 7072 and 7026. So this is a show rule because the color classes are part of the show rules, not part of the standard. So it's just adding colors that aren't listed there. This helps when you're judging to make sure that, and also for entering, to make sure that where the color belongs in which color class.
Okay, any questions on number 2? I'm sorry, Annette.
No, I just wanted to say it passed by 50%.
Okay, all right. Okay, any objections to proposal number 2? Okay, hearing no objections by unanimous consent, American Shorthair proposal number 2 is adopted.
Okay, proposal number 3 adds gold eye color to the blue silver patch tabby description. It already called for green or hazel, this adds gold.
Okay, Melanie.
And maybe I'm missing something here. But my question here is actually based on the next 2 proposals, number 4 and 5, which reference the fact that a standard sets ideals and asks for the addition of the preferred eye color. Proposal number 5, which addresses silver patch tabby, actually specifies preferred green or gold. And this is blue silver patched tabby. So it seems inconsistent to not include the preference here if we're considering it in the other areas. Or is there a reason that it was omitted here? If so, I'd love to know what that reason is.
Okay, Carol, would you like to address that?
I thought we did. Do we have a proposal later for that? Let me scroll down a minute.
The later proposals are blue silver tabby and blue silver tabby and white and silver patch tabby and tabby and
Okay,
white.
so that's then Melanie, to answer your question, I think that that was probably an oversight. And let me just kind of give you a little preface here, is that we are currently going through our breed standard, trying to make it more consistent. And these are the ones that we caught this year. We are going to continue doing that. We need to actually reorganize our breed standard too, so you can actually find the colors in it. So we may have missed that one.
Thank you, Carol.
Any other comments? Any objection to proposal number 3? Okay, seeing no objection by unanimous consent, American Shorthair proposal number 3 is adopted. Let's go to number 4, Annette.
Yes, number 4 qualifies the eye color in blue silver tabby and white to add green preferred.
Okay, any questions on proposal number 4? Okay, any objection to the adoption of proposal number 4? Seeing no objection by unanimous consent, proposal number 4, the American Shorthair proposals is adopted.
Okay, proposal number 5 qualifies the eye color in silver patch tabby and white, including a preference for green or gold.
Okay, any questions on proposal number 5? Any objections to the adoption of proposal number 5 in the American Shorthair standard? Okay, hearing no objection by unanimous consent, it is adopted. Let's go to number 6.
Proposal number 6 removes "and white" from the 2 shaded calico headings because it's redundant.
Any questions on number 6? Okay. All right, any objection to number 6? Hearing no objections by unanimous consent, proposal number 6 is adopted.
Proposal number 7 remove, oops, I'm sorry. I described number 6 wrong. Number 6 consolidated the tabby pattern descriptions.
Right.
To the pattern description.
Okay,
So basically the heading for the tabby will describe classic mackerel.
okay, we just actually voted on number 7.
Yes, we did.
Okay, so Rachel, can you make that notation that number 7 has been passed by unanimous consent?
I will.
Okay, now we'll go back to proposal number 6.
Right, which consolidates the tabby. So it removes the classic mackerel or ticked after each tabby color and puts the disc that is already up in the upper part describing tabby. So there's no reason to put it here.
Yep. Okay, any comments on number 6? Any objection to number 6? Okay, by unanimous consent, number 6 is adopted. So let's go to number 8. There is her number. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, number 8 8 through 13 are regarding, or info to the board regarding the Scottish fold, Scottish straight-eared issue. So I think Carol wanted to make a comment on this.
Carol,
Yes,
you recognized?
okay, may I comment?
Yes, recognized.
Sure. I would like to say that we greatly appreciate being able to know when breeds that use our breed as part of their breed standard or accepted as for an outcross. We greatly appreciate being told what changes are going to make so I can take it to our group and just get an idea of how we feel how our breed is being used. So we greatly appreciated this year to be able to be polled for this. And as you can see that none of these got 60%. And I'd like to encourage the panel to continue encouraging the breed councils to talk among themselves. That's it.
Thank you, Carol. Very nice comment. Okay, that.
So the first, yeah, so 8, 9, and 10 are information to the board from the breed council regarding the outcross to the Scottish fold and straight-eared cats. And what they do, the first one ends the outcross. The next one puts a 5-year date at the when it ends, and number 10 puts a 10-year date at the end. And what the breed council preferred was a 5-year date ending it. Now, as we all know, ending an outcross, if you don't already have an end date, is a difficult thing. And it doesn't mean it can't be continued. While none of these got 60%, it's basically a registration rule and doesn't require 50%. So I don't know if the board wants to just move on by this and maybe come back to it when we talk about the Scottish folds, or if you want to discuss it.
Pam. Delbar. You're muted, Pam.
I had just raised my hand and right after you called me. In the past, the board has taken this as an advisement, but until such time that we have had concurrence from all breeds that are affected, we have not acted on it. So I don't see a precedent being set now.
Okay, thank you. You concur with that, Annette?
I do concur with it, and I hope my breed is never used as an outcross. I concur that it's a precedent. So 11, 12, and 13 actually relate to something else that we'll talk about when we get to the Scottish folds. And I don't want to explain it till we get to that point. And again, 50% preferred number 1 in that one. But I've got a note on the Scottish fold one. We'll come back to that because it's a registration issue that needed to be resolved because of registration sent into central office. So that concludes our American Shorthair proposals.
Okay. Thank you, Carol. Appreciate your input.
Now, Sammy, next is the Bengal proposals, and Sam Kerr is on the phone or on the meeting.
I'm here. Yep.
Oh, you can hear us? Okay. As you know, every year we've seen a number of Bengal proposals for their standard ever since they were accepted to championship. And I want to congratulate Sammy for proposing some that actually passed her breed council, because it's and for not having 77 proposals this year. So proposal number 1 is to change the disqualify section of the standard to change kinked or otherwise deformed tail to visible kink in tail.
Okay, Melanie, you're recognized.
Thank you. I want to add my congratulations to Sammy for putting together some very well thought out and well supported proposals. Unfortunately, on this first proposal, I can't support it. In fact, I'm disappointed, although not surprised to see it here. I think they brought it up last year as well. I'm hopeful that we as a board will not support this proposal, which quite clearly takes a standard, in my opinion, the wrong way. Breed standards should be aspirational. We shouldn't devalue our standards and we shouldn't take them down to the cats that we're breeding. We should take our cats up to the standards that we uphold. I believe I've mentioned this before, when other breeds have tried to take their standards down rather than striving to breed the ideal. But in this instance, with a breed so closely related to the Egyptian Mal, it's even more apropos. Back in the late 90s, in its infinite wisdom, the Egyptian Mal Breed Council proposed and overwhelmingly approved a resolution very similar to this. Thankfully, back then, the board was wise enough to save us from ourselves. The problem is that once we start to allow abnormalities, the problems associated with them start to escalate. And before you know it, the minor little issues that were simply an annoyance that kept a cat from the show ring become health issues that impact negatively on your breeding program. You start to say these little things are okay, and you start down that slippery slope and you can't stop the slide. It just starts getting worse and worse. This is not the way we want to see our breed standards evolve. I think it's really the wrong direction. So I strongly hope that we override this breed council request. There's precedent for that. We've done that with the Tonkinese just recently. We did it with the Egyptian Mal back in the 90s. We've done it with several other breeds. And I know I'm repeating myself, but I strongly feel we should do everything in our power to avoid taking our standards backwards. I think we should strive to breed cats that meet the standard with the understanding that not every cat that we produce will be a show cat. It doesn't mean they can't contribute to a breeding program if you personally feel that you want to go forward with cats like that. However, once you start breeding cats with issues, you pretty much guarantee you won't eliminate the problem. If we start rewarding cats with structural issues in the show ring, we take away the incentive for people to raise their bar and send the wrong message to the breeders and to the world at large.
Kim Delabar.
Well, with an economy of words, I was going to say this board has never supported dumbing down a standard. And I cannot support doing such with this proposal.
Okay. George Eigenhauser,
Ditto everything Pam and Melanie said.
Kenny Curley,
I apologize, I was on mute. My understanding, the Bengal has been in our championship classes since 2018, if I'm not incorrect. And we've seen many of these changes. I totally agree with Melanie, Pam, and ditto with George. We cannot dumb down the standard. I look at all of these proposed changes that went through. These are not the standard changes that I want to see in this particular breed. I have, a standard is an abstract aesthetic ideal. It's really not, what the cat is. This is what we're really trying to do. Is we try to breed for a specific type of an ideal cat, and this definitely looks like it's the beginning of dumbing down the standard to, acquiesce to what's already being bred. I mean, we should never be able to breed the most ideal example of any particular breed, but there are other things that are down the road in this proposal that I certainly can't support either.
thank you, Kenny. Rachel Langer,
Thank you very much. I think I'm going to be the dissenter here, and I'll make it brief. To me, this is not dumbing down the standard. What it's doing is putting the focus on the essence of the breed. The essence of the breed isn't a perfect tail. A Bengal doesn't need a tail that's kinked or otherwise, that's not kinked or otherwise deformed to get across what the breed is all about. This is a breed about a beautiful pattern, about that phenomenal body. And to the people who are invested in this breed, putting visible kink in tail is where they want to go. And to me, this does not affect the structure of the cat. Thank you.
okay, Annette,
Thank you. So Rachel, I appreciate your input, but that just kind of sets me off. So are you pretty much then the tail isn't the essence of any breed. I agree with everything Melanie said. It's a structural issue. I think it needs to be addressed. I'd like to see it be a disqualify in every breed, but that's up to each individual breed council. I don't think we should vote to include this here. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Sammy, you want to make a comment before I call the vote?
I do actually. So part of the reason why this keeps getting brought up is not just because it is a common issue, but also because of the kind of overhandling of Bengal tails that we've seen since it became, I guess, more noticeable that it was a disqualification. Or I guess what I'm trying to say is we wanted to move this to penalty because we felt like it would do, it would not weaken the standard, but at the same time, we would have more overall fair judging when it came to the cats, so that people weren't focusing just on the tails and whether or not it was a disqualification. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'll call the vote. All those in favor of proposal number 1, please raise your hand. Okay, I have Mark Hannon and Rachel Anger. No votes. Okay, I have Kenny Curley, George Eigenhauser, Carol Krasnowski, Annette Wilson, Sharon Roy, Rich Maston, Kathy Calhoun, Melanie Morgan, Howard Webster, Pam Mosier, Pam Delabar, Kathy Dunham, John Kalila. If you'll lower your hands. Are there any abstentions? Sharon Roy and John Kalila.
No, I didn't get to blow my hand, sorry.
All right. Sharon, are you an abstain or a no?
I'm a no, sorry.
All right. Okay, no abstentions. Rachel, you can announce the vote.
Thank you. That's 2 yes, 14 no, 0 abstentions.
Okay, so this proposal is not agreed to. All right, so we can skip over number 2 since number 1 didn't pass. So let's go to number 3.
Okay, number 3 is to remove in the general description, to remove the silky coat texture reference, qualify what glittering and add close line. So this is the general description that goes immediately after the point score. And this addresses the sentence that says the coat is like no other. It adds close line. So that sentence now reads, the coat is like no other. Short, close line, soft, luxurious, and may be glittered.
Melanie?
Thank you. I'm torn here. While not all Bengals are glittered, the glitter coat has long been a hallmark of the breed, and the word preferably speaks to the aspirational aspect of the standard. While glitter is not in itself breed defining, for this breed, the desire for it does contribute to the uniqueness of the breed. So I don't think that leaving the word preferably unduly penalizes those cats which are otherwise exceptional. And I'm supportive of encouraging the aspects of that define each breed and make them completely unique. And for those reasons, although I understand where they're trying to go, I cannot support this proposal.
Kenny Curley?
Yes. This item number 3 removes the word silky, which is, from what my understanding is, it's part of every Bengal standard in World Cat Congress. I think this change also weakens the standard, and which should be included in the ideal cat.
Okay. Can I just add a point of information here? Chris Kalin at Stanford's probably done more research on Bengal coats and patterns than anyone. And we know that glitter is a recessive gene, and only about I think it's 63 or 64% of Bengals either have the gene or carry the gene. So about a third of the breed population does not have glitter. Carol, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
No, Chris is the expert on that.
Okay, so I'm like Melanie. I don't know how I feel about taking preferably and making it maybe. Because I mean, you know, I don't want to get into the specifics, but there's a couple of different kinds of glitter. You can read about that on your own if you want. So Melanie, you're recognized.
Yeah, and I may be wrong and this may not be relevant. However, it's my understanding that all the Bengals that actually exhibit that or have that recessive can trace their lineage directly back to the New Delhi Indian mounds, Toby Delhi, India. The Egyptian mounds get the recessive gene from the same place. As I said, I could be wrong and that may not be relevant. So it's certainly, you know, something that we don't see in every single Bengal. That said, preferably to me just doesn't unduly penalize. And I do think it's an important factor in the breed.
Yeah, it's important for historical perspective, Melanie. Annette, you're recognized.
Thank you. I'd like to reference another breed that calls for something that probably isn't addressed very often by judges, and that's the Berman standard, where it says the golden mist, and this is actually in the body of the standard under color, is desirable in all point colors. A faint golden beige cast on the backs and sides. This is somewhat deeper in the seal points and may be absent in kittens, and yet probably much more than 30% or 60% of the Burmans we judge don't have that. And I don't think the breeders care about it too much. So I think that saying it may be glittered is based on the genetics of it is actually what this breed has. It may be glittered. And I want to note that there's a proposal, I think it's the next one, that actually describes glitter, which hasn't been described in this standard before. So I don't think they're minimizing it. I think they're actually, this is factual. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Sammy, any comments?
Yes, actually. So maybe glittered was included because there seemed to be some kind of confusion identifying glitter, and it depends a lot on the lighting. Cats that only have one copy actually exhibit glitter on the feet and nowhere else. So it's a variable expression. So it makes it a little bit harder to identify. And it's what we're trying to say here is that it is irrelevant to the overall cat. It should be just icing on the cake, not something that we look for to warrant whether or not that cat is being rewarded.
Okay. So Sammy, can I ask you what makes a Bengal distinct?
Well, the type, you know, it's supposed to be a small jungle dwelling cat, the pattern, the coat texture, you know, there's a lot of things that make it distinct.
Okay. All right. I asked because I mean, I'm getting comments from board members that this doesn't matter, that doesn't matter, that doesn't matter. So, all right. So I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page of what makes this breed distinct from our other.
Definitely the pattern, but I mean, when it comes to the glitter, it is, like I said, it's a variable expression, and it seems to be one of those things that is very dependent on lighting and grooming, and so it has been a harder thing to identify.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I'll call the vote. All those in favor of proposal number 3, raise your hands. Okay, the yes votes are Mark Hannon, Annette Wilson, Pam Delabar, Sharon Roy, Rich Maston, Kathy Dunham, Carol Krasnowski, Hayata San, Kathy Calhoun, Pam Mosher, Rachel Anger, John Kalila, Howard Webster. You'll take your hands down. And the no votes, please raise your hand. Annette, I'm assuming you haven't lowered your hand.
Sorry.
Okay, Melanie Morgan, Kenny Curley, George Eichenhauser. You'll take your hands down. Any abstentions? No abstentions, Rachel, so you can announce the vote.
Thank you. That's 13 yes. 3 no, 0 abstentions.
Thank you very much. Proposal number 3 is adopted. Let's go on to number 4.
Okay, number 4 clarifies the texture, describes glitter, and removes the allowance for longer coats in kittens. So coat now would read short, close line, soft, luxurious, with minimal resilience, may be glittered, and then parentheses, iridescent shimmer to the coat caused by light reflection or refraction at hair tips.
Okay.
Any questions?
Melanie, you're recognized.
I love the fact that the glitter effect is defined here. It's one of the first attempts I've seen to do it, and I think they did a really good job. I also like the fact that the texture definition is refined in the standard. Although this removes the word ideally for glitter, which of course I don't like, voted against the other, I can support this here for consistency's sake.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, any objection to proposal number 4? Hearing no objection by unanimous consent, number 4 is adopted. Let's go to number 5.
Number 5 clarifies under colors and patterns. It clarifies the rosetted spotted pattern, removing free of ticking, and it clarifies the ground color.
Okay. Comments? No? Any objection to number 5? Hearing no objection by unanimous consent, number 5 is adopted. Let's go on to the next one.
Okay, number 6 clarifies the marble tabby pattern, removes free of ticking, and clarifies the ground cover.
Okay, any comments on number 6? Any objections to number 6? Hearing no objection by unanimous consent, number 6 is adopted. Number 7.
Okay, number 7 changes the eye color and paw pad color in the brown tabby description. It changes the paw pad color to black, which if it is a brown tabby is what it needs to be, and addresses eye color saying any color other than blue.
Okay, any comments on number 7? Any objections to number 7? Hearing no objections by unanimous consent, number 7 is adopted. Let's move on to number 8.
Okay, number 8 moves the charcoal pattern and renames it to the charcoal tabby pattern effect and describes it. So it moves it to describe charcoal tabby pattern after the marble tabby pattern, and it renames it as charcoal tabby pattern effect, since in fact the color description is describing the effect the charcoal pattern has on the other tabby patterns.
It's sort of like an overlay.
Yes.
Okay, any comments on number 8? Any objections to number 8? All right, hearing no objections, number 8 is adopted.
Okay, number 9 changes the description of the charcoal tabby pattern and renames it to the charcoal tabby pattern effect. So this is underneath the other part of it.
Okay. All right. Any comments on number 9? Any objections to number 9? Hearing no objections, number 9 is adopted by unanimous consent. Let's move on to 10.
Number 10 is to be considered if number 8 passes, which it did, and it removes the charcoal color description because we just replaced it with this other one.
Okay. Makes sense. Any objections to number 10 or comments? All right, seeing no objections by unanimous consent, number 10 is adopted.
And number 11 removes from the head description in the standard, no flat planes. So the head will, as described, says broad modified wedge with rounded contours, longer than wide, with high cheekbones, slightly small in proportion to the body, not to be taken to extreme. The top of the skull flows back into the neck with visible back skull. Allowance for jowls on mature males. And the sentence being removed, no flat planes, was right in front of the allowance. Any questions?
Kenny Curley?
Yeah, just wanted to ask Sammy, why was this put in here? It's in the original standard, and I don't understand why they want to add or allow flat planes.
Sammy?
Yeah, it has to do with the nearly straight profiles. So that is actually something that is rewarded in every other standard and something that most breeders are actively breeding for. We don't want dippy profiles. We don't want a pronounced concavity. So nearly straight is much more correct. It should be almost, that should be the only place where it's flat.
Okay, Kenny, any comments?
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, sorry.
Go ahead, Annette.
Okay, tried to raise my hand and read all this at the same time. The current standard for profile says gently curved forehead to nose bridge. Nose may have a slight concave curve.
That's true, slight concave.
Okay. So basically what this is doing in the head part of the standard is removing no flat planes. But if the profile should be or can be straight, that may be something you want to address in the future.
Correct. So basically what we were trying to communicate is that the range can be a slight concave profile to a nearly straight or straight.
Kenny?
Thank you.
To me, it can't be one or it has to be one or the other. If you're going to accept flat planes, which is going to be preferred, the concave curve to the forehead or the flat planes, which we as judges, would like to have a heads up as to what the preference would be.
So the domed forehead is preferable. This was really, and that's described in a separate part of the standard. This was really to address the flatter profiles.
And Melanie?
I don't think removing the sentence "no flat planes," not that that's a sentence, but the statement accomplishes what you're trying to accomplish, Sammy. We're looking at a modified wedge with rounded contours. By definition, to some extent, that should be no flat planes. But if you really want this to address the profile, I don't think this is the right place or the right way to do it. I think it's going to confuse issues more than clarify, personally.
Okay.
Sorry.
It does sort of go against the definition of what a modified wedge and all of our other standards, but Annette?
Thank you. I actually agree with passing this because no flat planes doesn't belong in the head description here. And what I would encourage Sammy to do would be to clarify the profile, which is a separate section in the standard, where it says the nose may have a slight concave curve. I think that's where it belongs. And I think that should be addressed next time. So basically taking this no flat planes out of here doesn't really hurt anything in the head. I think if we need to clarify profile, then that's a separate issue. And what it currently says, that nose may have a slight concave curve, which to me says it's usually straight. So it could be either way. And I think if they wanted to have a slight concave curve, then they need to address that in the standard.
Okay.
In that part of the standard.
Noted.
Okay, anybody else have any comments? I'll call the vote. All those in favor of proposal number 11, raise your hand. So I have Mark Hannon, Rachel Anker, Annette Wilson, Rich Masson, Pam Delabar, Carol Krasnowski, George Eichenhauser, Kathy Calhoun, Hayata San, Pam Mosier, John Kalila, Kathy Donham. Sharon Roy. Okay, if you'll take your hands down. And if you're a no vote, please raise your hand. Kathy, I called you as a yes. Are you changing to no? Kathy Dunham. All right, I'll call what's up. The no votes are Kathy Dunham, Melanie Morgan, and Kenny Curley. You'll take your hands down. Okay, Kathy's hand is still up. Kathy Dunham, thank you. Kathy, are you a yes or a no?
Daryl, I'm a yes. I was having problems with my iPad.
Okay, no problem. All right, so strike the no vote on Kathy and make it a yes. Any abstentions? Okay, Rachel, you can announce the vote when you're got it tabulated.
If a vote for Howard Webster was announced, I didn't get it. So Howard, are you a yes or a no?
Abstain.
Abstain.
Okay,
So that's 13 yes, 2 no, 1 abstention.
okay, the motion is agreed to. Thank you, Sammy, appreciate it. Okay, let's
Yeah.
move on to the British short hair. And if you're not talking, please mute your mic.
Okay, the British short hair proposals are informational to the breed. I don't know if Cindy Bird is on the call or if she wants to speak. I didn't hear from her when I asked her. So
I thought I saw her in the attendees list, but she's there. So Ally,
And I just brought her, I just invited her to the panel.
all right,
And she's joining.
okay.
Morning.
morning.
Cindy,
Did you want to make a statement to the board or do you want to be available for questions?
I'm happy to be available for questions. I just want to point out that the British Breed Council had a rather strong feeling about allowing registerable Brits as an outcross.
Okay, we were going to actually talk about that when we get to the Scottish fold. Would you be available then? Since that actually, addresses 3 breeds, American Shorthair, British Shorthair, and Scottish fold. We were going to save that to when we talk about the Scottish fold proposal.
That works for me.
Okay, thank you. I mean, we could do it now, but then, we'll forget by the time we get there. All right, so the only one, well, actually, these all are informational regarding the Scottish fold proposal. So can we go on to Burmese? Is that all right?
yep.
Okay. All right, so the Burmese first proposal changes the order of the color, eye color description for sable. It previously read ranges from gold to yellow. Now it ranges from yellow to gold. And it does that just to match the order of the other color descriptions.
Okay, any questions on this one? Any objections to the Burmese proposal number 1? Okay, hearing no objections, by unanimous consent, proposal number 1 is adopted.
Okay, proposal number 2 makes a number of purely housekeeping changes to the Burmese standard regarding punctuation and syntax or grammar. So basically it makes it all match. So if the description was well proportioned, now it says legs are well proportioned, are wrong. I don't know that this is the direction we're going to go in with every standard, but I appreciate the fact that they took this under as a project this year, and it doesn't change anything. It just capitalizes, addresses punctuation, and grammar.
I think this is a good step forward for all the breeds.
It is, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
Just one thing on grammar hit me under pause, around. Pause, have 5 toes in front and 4 behind, not has.
Pause
Just,
around.
just a little grammar thing of plural versus
Yeah, it should
singular.
pause, have, 5 toes.
Yeah. We can't change it.
No. I'm making a
I
note.
might Okay,
Maybe they can, if we adopt this, they can change that one.
Yeah, that,
Yes, to have.
if anybody notices anything else like that, let me know.
Okay, yeah, I think this was a project that Jackie and Teresa.
mhm.
Yeah,
And so, I think it's, our standards should look professional, so. Okay, any comments on number 2? Okay, any objection to number 2? Hearing no objection, number 2 is ratified by unanimous consent.
yeah, next ballot is the exotic ballot. Is Lynn Cook on?
Yeah, she's there.
Yes.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. All right, proposal number 1 is a color pattern issue to the standard. It is adding the new bicolor points in the calico and bicolor class, add the pattern description for pointed and white. So let me go down here.
Annette, do we have the PowerPoint presentation of the?
I'm sorry, what?
Do we have the PowerPoint presentation?
No.
I actually put the pictures right into this proposal. So what the exotic breed council wants to do is start showing pointed and whites. So
Mhm.
there are some pictures here that I embedded into the report that Lynn provided, showing what these cats look like. This is currently, these cats are registered. We have 13 of them registered since 2017. And I didn't have any evidence that they had been shown as AOVs. Lynn, I did get some data on that, but unfortunately, I couldn't find any that were shown that way. Do you know if any were shown?
I spoke to one breeder who said she showed a long hair and a short hair at Cotton States in I think she said 2010.
Okay, well,
two were
so
supposed to
I didn't go back that far. And I think for going forward for this kind of thing, if you want to recognize a new breed, a new color or pattern, it's important to get the cats out there to be seen.
Yes, so there's the Paige Bisson Region 1 who has 2 that she was showing, and she was supposed to go to Ohio and Pennsylvania, but she's a lab technician, and because of COVID, she couldn't get off on the weekend, so it's been increasingly difficult. I understand that.
Yeah, so just to remind the board, we have a matrix for what's required to introduce a new color or pattern when a breed's already in championship. It requires 25 of the new breeds, cats of the new breed to be shown. And it requires that there be 10 active breeders producing them, and that there be at least 25 cats that new color registered. Now, the problem with the registration data, I went back, I asked for data back to 2017 because they're all grouped within a couple of BCS codes. You have to literally go line by line through every registered cat, looking for the color descriptions, which, and so I went through a lot of lines of data and found 13 that have been registered since 2017. Doesn't mean that other cats of that pattern weren't registered previous to that. But in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, it doesn't meet the requirement to introduce a new pattern to an existing breed. But I'm happy to hear other people's opinions.
Okay, Melanie, you're recognized.
Thank you. This was brought up last year, as I think you all probably remember, and it failed with a recommendation that the Breed Council Secretary work with Breeds and Standards, which clearly you have, to bring it back with data supported by the advancement matrix. And while I appreciate the fact that we've been given more data than we were last year, the fact remains we still haven't satisfied the requirements of that matrix. We're not even really very close. Which brings us to the same issue that we had last year when, as a board, we didn't approve this. If we're not going to be consistent in enforcing our requirements, then why do we have them? When we make exceptions, we create an environment, real or perceived, where there's appearance of favoritism. We need to support our breeds. We need to help them supply the information that's required. But if we're going to have requirements, we need to apply those requirements without prejudice. So if they want to add this, the pointed and white bicolors, I highly support them getting them out and showing them as AOVs and getting them registered to meet the matrix.
Anyone else? Then closing statement.
Me?
Hello?
Yes.
Well, I just wanted to say it's in the proposal, but it is a naturally occurring color out of naturally occurring colors that are already accepted. So I don't know if that matters, but.
Nope.
Yeah, your breed's a type breed, not a color breed. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes.
Okay, I'll call the vote. All those in favor of adding, can you scroll up? Adding the point and white colors. Okay, if you're in favor of it, please raise your hand. Okay, the yes votes are Kenny Curley and George Eigenhauser. You'll take your hands down. The no votes. Pam Mosier, Mark Hannon, Annette Wilson, John Kalila, Kathy Dunham, Pam Delabar, Carol Krasnowski, Rich Maston, Melanie Morgan, and Kathy Calhoun. You'll take your hands down. Any abstentions? No. Okay, Sharon Roy, Hayata, and Rachel. Okay, you can announce a vote when you have it tabulated.
I did not get a vote from Mr. Webster.
He's been having trouble on the call. He's dropped out at this point, trying to get back in.
Mark, you have your hand up. You're muted.
Sorry, I was going to wait for Rachel to announce the results, and I had a comment.
Okay,
Okay, I'm ready.
go ahead.
That's 2 yes, 10 no, 3 abstentions, 1 did not vote.
Okay. So the motion is not agreed to. Mark?
Yeah, I'm a member of the Exotic Breed Council, and I voted in favor of this as a member of the Breed Council. But and I think that the colors really are attractive and deserve to be shown, but I really feel you need to follow the criteria and get those cats out there, get them registered and get them shown. I'm looking forward to seeing you to meet the criteria and to have these cats come back so we can approve it.
Okay, George Eigenhauser.
I just wanted to remind the chair that we're starting a closed session in about 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Yeah, I've been watching the clock. So how many more exotic proposals are there in that?
One more.
One.
Okay.
So should we move on to that?
Yeah.
Well, let's do that, and then
Okay.
hopefully it won't, maybe people won't be so verbose and we can get this one done quickly.
Okay, I'll talk fast. Okay, this is a housekeeping proposal to add a color class for the currently accepted pointed exotic colors not currently represented in the color class code. So it's a show rule issue. So in the pointed division, you have all the point colors described, except you don't have a place for the ones that aren't called out. So this adds an other pointed color class for the chocolate torty point or the lilac cream point, which didn't really have a place before.
Okay. Any comments?
No.
I didn't mean my comment or that I made to shut off debate. I mean, if you want to talk, so. All right. Any objection to proposal number 2? Okay, hearing no objection by unanimous consent, number 2 is adopted. Thank you so much, Lynn.
Thank you.
Okay.
you.
All right. So that will, when we come back in open session, we'll pick up with the next breed. So thank you, everybody. This meeting is adjourned, and I'll